When it comes to life, you want to go with the flow. You want to run downhill. You want to run with the wind at your back. You want to paddle down the stream, and investing is no different. You want to invest with the trend. I'm looking at some of the biggest trends that are happening today. We're going to break those down into small trends, and we're going to figure out exactly where we want to be positioned. So make sure you stay tuned until the end. All right, welcome back. So today we are gonna look at the big picture. We're gonna look at the big macro trends. We're gonna break them down into smaller trends, and we're gonna find some of the best places to put our money today. I'm gonna give you some specifics on that, and I'm gonna show you the short-term and the long-term plays. Now, on Thursdays, we talk about investing. Typically, we talk about cryptocurrency investing because I believe it's the best investment that we can be in today, the most explosive. On Tuesdays, we like to talk about before you invest, success, business, things like that, so you can make more money, so you can invest more. On Mondays, I like to do questions and answers. So when you leave me comments, I love them, but also ask me questions because I want to know what content you need, and I love to use them for those videos. Now, today, we are talking about investing in cryptocurrency. We're going to talk about the trend, the global trends, smaller trends and smaller trends. And so let's get right into that. So investing with the trend, right? That's what you want to do. You want to invest with the trend. Now, I know you might say that, well, you've also said that I should be a contrarian. Well, you definitely should. You should be a contrarian, and you want to buy when people are selling, and you want to sell when people are buying, but that's not the trend that I'm talking about. That's the small trend. I'm talking about the big trend, right? So I want to get in on the big trends early, and then I want to ride them. And then through that process, you'll notice if you look at any chart of a market, nothing goes in a straight line. It's always like this, right? And so those are the plays, buy and selling, but being in that trend for the long term is really where we want to be in that. And those trends, they carry so much momentum. It's kind of like I said at the beginning, it's like swimming down the stream or running with the wind at your back. It's just going to be way easier, and it's going to be way easier to make money. And so we want to invest with the trend. Now, I look at trends all over the world, and a lot of times I get questions from you guys like, how can you look for trends? And I wish I really had a better way to tell you other than just to be aware. I'm looking at information from all over the place. I'm probably subscribed to 5 or 6 paid newsletters. You know, I'm on another 10 or 12 email lists. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm looking at news headlines, social media. I'm scanning, right? And so I'm finding this. And really, I'm looking at like global trends. I'm looking at news headlines that are kind of showing like, you know, laws and regulations that are happening today show what's going to happen in the future. These global trends, macro trends, and then turn into like local trends. There's technology trends. If you've of course you have. If you've watched one of those movies, right, where somebody goes back in time, Back to the Future or whatever, right? So they go back in time, and if they even just change the smallest little thing, when they go back to the future's radically different. And that's kind of how it works. Little things happening today will radically change our future. So when you watch what's going on, and you see this new law, this new regulation, this new technology, you can start to realize like what effect that's going to have in the future, and you can start to think of these trends that are starting to develop. So that's one way that you can think about it, kind of have that future thinking. But I'm not going to make you do all the hard work today. I'm going to break one down for you. So the big thing about getting in with the trend is that there's always so much momentum there that you don't have to time this perfect, right? You don't have to be the first one in and the last one out. Anywhere along that trend, you can jump in and just go upstream with everybody else, right? So you can get in a little bit later, you can get out a little bit early because you're playing the big trend, not the small trend, the big trend, all right? Now, the big trend that I'm talking about today is decentralization. And I've talked about this in some videos before. I broke this down in a video called The Pendulum, and I'm gonna link to it right up here because that's a great video and you should watch it. And basically I made the case how for thousands of years, the world has shifted from a centralization to a decentralization cycle every 40 years or 80 years for there and back. All right, and again, I have all the stats on that video, so go back and watch that. Now the world has shifted from a decentralized cycle to a centralized cycle, which is a we, collectivism, and we're just maxing out, and now the world is rejecting the we and going back to the me, back to individualism, back to decentralization. And we know this, we can see it, because we can see Brexit is rejecting the EU. We can see Italy with the referendum. We can see Paris with what's going on there. We see the United States elected Donald Trump. All these things are rejecting the establishment and trying to go back to more individualism, more decentralization. So that's the really big trend, decentralization. And then on top, so that's the big trend. And then we have a technology with Bitcoin and blockchain technology that does what? It's decentralized. So now we have this global trend, and now we have a technology at the same time that's decentralization as well. All right. And then we have even a smaller trend. So we're stacking a trend within a trend within a trend. The more we can stack, the more power we're going to have. So now we have like technology, and we've looked at the rise of technology, and we've seen like mobile phones and mobile payments. And now what we're seeing is, so now this decentralization, technology, mobile phones, and now we're starting to see mobile payments, all right? So now we're several layers deep into these smaller trends, and we can see how powerful these is, how powerful they are. And so we're talking about like technology and where it's intersecting banking. Now, banking is completely separate than that technology, but today, technology is really jumping into the banking sector. I wouldn't even call it the banking sector, but just into the finance or the money sector. And they're coming fast and they're coming hard, and it's going to radically change our future. And I know that because I see what's happening today. So we can look at this. Here's a couple examples. So Apple, which is a technology company, they launched their Apple Card, which is a payment card, right? They launched it in March. Now they're trying to gain as much market share as they can. They're sitting on a huge pile of cash so they can do this. And they're offering people a 2% cash back if they use Apple Pay. So they're trying to get this adoption of their new payment, mobile application payment, and anyone who uses Apple Pay, they get 2% back. That's pretty good. It's like double what anybody else offers. So they're gonna really start to get a lot of adoption there. But more than anything, it just really shows their commitment to this. Now, is Apple a pretty smart company? Have they done really well? Do you think the people that run Apple might be a little bit more plugged in than the average person, maybe even you and me? Well, if they're spending all this money, pushing hard to get into the mobile payment space, do you think we should be paying attention to it? Right? So success leaves clues, right? We talk about this. Now we also see Starbucks, Panera, and they already have like mobile payments. I know my wife loves it. Every time we go to Starbucks, it's the app. She opens up the app on her phone, scans her thing. Amazon is committed to opening 3,000 stores in the next 2 years that are gonna have no cashiers. Everything's gonna be done via mobile payments. 3,000 stores. So Amazon, Starbucks, Apple, like the smartest, most connected stores, companies in the world are pushing this, and we're just going to jump on the trend. It's that easy. We don't have to be the smartest guy in the world. We just have to pay attention, and we have to jump on these trends. Now, the current state of mobile payments is already pretty big, but it's not really even close to as big as it's going to get. So in 2018, we had 55 million people in the US were using some form of mobile payment. And you may be using it, and maybe you don't even think about it because now it's just coming so commonplace. Like I said, we never go to Starbucks without my wife opening up her app and scanning her app. And that's what I'm talking about. They project by the end of this year, by the end of 2019, we'll be at 62 million. So we'll have gone from 55 million to 62 million, which is a pretty big jump. In 1 year, that's a really big jump. However, they're saying that that's only about 20% of the US population. So look how much growth we have to go. If we're only gonna get to 20%, we still have a long way to go. Now, typically with trends like this, we'll see them get to 60, 70% pretty quickly. 80% is kind of about as far as they go. We don't really ever see like 100% adoption, but to get to 60 or 70%, that's like a 200-300% increase from where we're at today. And that's gonna happen faster than you can think. So it's the trend. And now we're seeing a growth trend, right? So the growth trend is gonna continue. We know that because of the technology, because of the mobile payments and all these things. We know the trend's going to continue. And and we need education around it. Now, in order to really see this go and get more adoption, it's going to take more education, and some of that education will come from the brands themselves. So we'll see, Apple Pay, for example, really starting to educate people. We'll also see the merchants that want to accept it start to educate people. And then you're just going to see your friend using it, and you're going to start to use it as well. And the reason why everyone's going to start using it is because mobile payments are better. That's it. Mobile payments are better. But why? What does better even mean? A lot of times people ask me, is it better? But better is a relative term. So when I say that they're better, mobile payments are faster, they're cheaper, but they're also more secure. They're a lot more secure than cash or credit cards. And the reason why is that obviously cash can be stolen, credit cards can be stolen as well, and it happens all the time. So the way these mobile payments work is I use my app, I open up my app, and it creates what's called like a little token. It's like a one-time use scan that can be done, and they call it tokenization. And not tokenization like we refer to in the blockchain space. But they call this a token because when I load the app, it puts that up as a one-time, as a tokenization. And then I just show that, and that barcode gets scanned by the merchant. All right. My personal information never gets shared. All right. It's a unique number that's generated every single time I open the app and I want to pay, instead of having to give my card info. So if you're not aware, when you give your credit card over, they swipe it and they get all your information, your name, they can get your address, they get your card number, obviously, expiration date, CVM code, etc. And that's why credit card numbers get stolen all the time. There's all types of ways that people steal credit cards. It happens all the time. I'm sure it's probably happened to you. If it has happened to you, if you've had a credit card stolen or used in the wrong way, leave a comment down below. I want to hear how big this problem is, because I know it's happened to me and my family multiple times. And that's because every time it's swiped, every time it's handed over, they have all that information. But with the tokenization that's done in the app, it's a one-time use. They scan it, they don't receive any information on you. I have more privacy, it's more secure, and it's safer. Doesn't that sound better? Yeah? Give me some thumbs up if it's better. All right, now, Thursdays we talk about investing. So that's all great, but how are we gonna profit from this, right? How are we making money? You're on this channel because you want to know how to make money, so how are we going to profit from it? Let's talk about that. So there's a couple ways. The first way is more the shorter term game. This is like the way that we'll probably see the most growth. I don't want to say the most growth, but this is kind of where things are at right now, the short game. And if there's already players in this space, like I'm talking about, Apple Pay is already there, etc. Right? So there's already players in this space, and we can jump in with them right now. Now, I talk about cryptocurrency a lot. I believe it's the most explosive space, but I don't put 100% of my money into crypto, and neither should you. It makes up a small percentage of my total investable assets, and I invest into other areas. I talk about this a lot. I still invest into stocks. I still invest into gold. I still invest into real estate. I still invest into private equity deals. And I invest into cryptocurrency. So you can put some into cryptocurrency and you can still put some into stocks. So an easy way to do this is to invest into the companies, the stocks of the companies that are in this mobile payment space. Now, if you don't want to pick an individual one, you don't want to gamble, then there's an easy way to do this, and you can just play the field. So instead of trying to figure out which ones are going to be the big winners over the next couple of years, you can play the field. There's an ETF, ETFMG, it's up on the screen. Or the Prime Mobile Payments Fund, it's iPay. And when you buy that fund or that ETF, you're buying a basket of all the players in the space. So PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, etc. So these funds made up a basket. And so by just buying that one fund or ETF, you get access to all the players in that mobile payment space. It's a really easy way to gain a little bit of exposure to this really fast growing marketplace. All right. So that's what we can do. One way we can do is kind of the short-term play. The longer-term play, the long game play is, of course, cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are going to win. They will beat this out. Now, I say that pretty confidently because I am pretty confident. And I know that because, again, it's better. But what does better mean? Well, better in a number of ways. First of all, in the mobile payment space, we still have middlemen. These mobile payment providers are middlemen sitting in between us. They're third-party central administrators who are taxing us, are rent-seeking, and they're controlling the transaction, deciding if they should allow it, if they shouldn't allow it. They're making the merchant wait for the money. They're taking their fees out along the way. And there's all this old technology sitting in between us. Crypto is peer-to-peer. That means I can send money directly to the merchant with nobody in between. Nobody taking a piece, nobody taking a fee, nobody stopping, blocking, preventing it, nobody making the merchant wait 3 to 5 days to get their money back. None of that. It's better, it's faster, it's cheaper. It's gonna win, all right? But it's not gonna happen immediately. There's other reasons why it's better. Now, if you have never accepted credit cards as a merchant before, you maybe don't realize this, but you don't get your money right away. It takes a couple of days. And sometimes, depending on what business you're in, the credit card companies can hold that money for a long time. In what they call high risk types of transactions, which are for a lot of types of services, information products, things like that, sometimes they can hold funds up to 180 days. A long time ago in another business I had, they deemed me to be high risk after almost a year in business, and they decided to hold several $100,000 of my merchant fees and not release it to me for 180 days. But what was I gonna do? I had to make payroll, I had to keep the business running. All of a sudden they just sucked that money out, and there was nothing I could do about that. All right, so that's a big problem, and peer-to-peer will eliminate all that. There's no middleman that can do that. Another thing is that merchants want finality. They want settlement. They want to know that when they get that money's theirs. But with a credit card company can pull that money back from them up to several months, up to 6 months in some cases. So even though that merchant sold that product, delivered that product, got paid, spent that money, paid their staff, invested into a business, months later, the credit card company can come back and try and take that money. Not try, but they can take that money back. So the merchant wants settlement. The merchant wants finality. The merchant wants their money right away. The merchant wants the money right away. They want it faster. They want it cheaper. And of course, as a customer, if it saves the merchant money, hopefully it saves me money as well. That's why it's going to win. So that's where it's going to go eventually. How are we going to play that? Well, we know it's going to be faster, cheaper, and the finality. So how we're going to play it, we're going to invest into cryptocurrencies. We're going to start with the protocols, the payment coins, and if you're looking for a coin, Bitcoin, of course, right? So the protocols, there's different protocol layers that are involved in the payments. There's different payment coins. So like Dash, for example, is really working in the payment space, even working with POS terminals. We've seen like Stellar's really working on sending money, transmittance, and things like that. So there's certain coins that are setting up for payments specifically. All those XRP lovers are probably waving their hands around right now. Bitcoin as well. So find the coins that are going to be in this payment space, and those are going to be the way that wins. So 2 ways to play this massive trend, one in the traditional stock market, one in cryptocurrencies. Either way, we have massive wind at our back, and we're going to make a lot of money with this. Give me a thumbs up if you like that. Leave me comments and questions if you want me to dive into any of this any deeper. If you have questions, let me know. Let me know what else you want to hear from me. And again, thumbs up if you like it. If you don't like it, give me thumbs down. Either way, I don't care. I just want to know. All right? And that's it. To your success. I'm out.